Morning, good morning, good morning. Is it still morning? Yeah, 10:30. Good morning. Yo,
Pimping.
what's good?
Oh man, everything is good, man. Just got a good workout in. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? On this good Saturday.
yeah, that's what's up, man. You know, you always on the workout tip.
Man, I'm always on the self-love tip.
Self-love, yeah, that's what it's all about, right?
That-
How can you love anything outside of yourself if you can't love yourself?
oh man, you just said a word, brother.
It's
Is this
impossible. You know what I'm saying?
hey
You got to know who's doing the loving to give the love. You got to love
hey
the lover.
hey look, I don't know. Is this great turn to church, man? We about need to tell people to get
Oh,
a set a GoFundMe up or something.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I meant to put my Bluetooth on, but it's all good. I can hear you better that way. But we good.
Oh, okay, okay. I need to speak up.
Nah. You good? It's just more. I think it's because I've made music for so long. I'm more comfortable having the audio right here. And I was getting set up this morning, and I was like, shoot, I forgot the headphones. But it's all good. We'll roll with it. Welcome back, everybody, to my second episode of What's Up With You. Today, our guest is Dr. Robert Evans. Um, Full disclosure, he's my marriage counselor, my therapist. He's one of my favorite people in the world. And he's someone who's very knowledgeable. And today, I want to talk to him about him, what he does, his personal life that he's willing to get into. So, Dr. E,
Hey, man, I love it. I love it. I love it.
I'm glad to have you on. So let's jump right into it. Who is Dr. E? Who is Rob?
Hey, I see the queen. Oh, life coach Vaughn just joined. What's up, queen? She's sending a little eye smiley face.
She got a crush on you.
She crushing a little
Hey,
bit.
jump in his DM, life coach Vaughn. I give you permission.
Hey, that's me though. That's a big part of me is pouring into other people, man. You know, starting off with myself, but then my queen, who jumped on my family. You know, you know, as you know, a big part of what I push and what I encourage people to do is just discover who you are, right?
Hmm.
I believe that's our quest in life is to discover the best version of us, discover who we are, right?
Hmm.
And maximize us.
Right.
And that can be very challenging, but that's something that I work towards every day. And you know, it's a constant effort that needs to be put in, right?
Right.
But you know, along with that, it's helping others. You know, that's my calling is to help other people kind of learn the same kind of lessons that I've learned.
Hmm.
Um, you know, I came up in a helping family, so you know, my mom she worked for Addiction Prevention and Recovery Administration,
Okay.
APRA, DC. I grew up in DC, and I was in meth clinics as a kid. You know,
Mm.
I was seeing heroin addicts as a kid. My mom was an addictions counselor, and so you know, she'd take me in there. I'd be sitting in circles with people that had hands the size of baseball gloves. You know what I mean? They had tracks all up their arms and their legs, and they would look at me and say, "Don't use drugs."
Here's a life tip, young man. Don't
they
do
like
what I did.
they like, "Don't do what I did," and I was like, "I don't want to do what you did."
Right.
But I also saw the love that they gave my mother, man. And I saw the heart my mother had, and I felt like, man, I want to be a blessing to other people like that. Then my father, he was in law enforcement, you know, so if he had to, you know how it is, right? you
Yeah, I
know.
know.
And he's retired, so I could put him out there. Sometimes he had me in the back of the squad car. I'm like balled up on the I'm balled up on the floor in the back in the back behind the front seat. If he had to like scoop me real quick and make a move, grab me, throw me in the back, and he'd be rolling, right?
Right.
And so I grew up in a family that was about giving, and they gave, but they gave in a way that was today, unfortunately, I think not just kids but people, the way American society is kind of incubating people is unfortunate because everything is about materialism. It's about getting things. It's about accessing things, purchasing things. What is on your body? What's the names that you're wearing? How much did you spend on your shoes? And that's not how I came up. My mom made my clothes, right? My mom, like, let me see what.
Like she
Okay,
like she made them.
like she sold my clothes, like made outfits for me. I came home with the Gordon Gartrell original. I went to school with the Gordon
Yeah, the
Gartrell,
first Golden Gartrell joint.
the first joint. Before the Cosby Show had it, I had it, and I got Joan on. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
if you remember. So Kenny's shoes had these shoes called Stadias. Was it
Nah,
Stadium?
I don't remember. I remember Kenny's shoes, but I don't remember that particular.
Kenny shoes. Where else did I get shoes from? You remember Ponies?
I remember ponies. Yeah, I remember ponies.
Ponies. I had like the joints. What was the joints? The British Knights. I don't know if you
Oh,
remember.
the BKs. The BKs was hot though. Hold on. So, the BKs was hot. The white joints with the black. They had like the black diamond with the BK. Yeah.
Hey, the British Knights. But guess what? I back then when I was a kid, I didn't understand what was happening. You
Mm-hmm.
know, where I go to school and kids be like, "What you got on?
Yeah. Yeah.
What are those?" Right? They joan on me, and I didn't never not go to school. I didn't never stay home like, man, I can't go to school. I just went and toughed it out and learned how to joan and learn how to stand up for myself. And
Right.
I got picked on a little bit, but I was never afraid to go face the fire. And what it did was it helped me to develop my own branding
Mm.
because I had to learn how to be comfortable in what it was that I was in, right? And I detached myself from names. I remember I wanted a starter coat. Everybody had starters. Starter, remember that joint?
Yeah.
Everybody had starters, and I never had one starter. I remember the only name brand coat I had was a triple fat goose. Remember that?
I remember the triple fat goose.
But guess when I got a triple fat goose?
It wasn't cool to have a triple fat goose no more.
Hey, look, I got a triple fat goose. And when I finally got the joint, brand new, the day I wore it to school, the zipper got caught. I had it like, hey, look, I was trying to like wear it cool, so I had it halfway zipped up, and the
Yeah.
zipper got caught on something and broke.
The
So
first day.
the first day, so I couldn't zip it up, right?
Right.
So it was kind of useless because it's cold outside. So I took it home. I said, "Hey, Ma, I need my zipper fixed."
Right.
So she took it to the cleaners to get fixed. By
Okay.
the time I got back to school with the coat, it was out of style.
No.
Hey, look, by the time I got back to school with a triple fat goose, they was laughing me out of the school. Like, what are you doing with a triple fat goose?
Okay. What? So when you got back though, because I'm similar to you, I had a hard time. I was always a little behind the curve.
Yeah.
What was the end coat after the triple fat goose? You remember?
The end coat after the triple fat goose. I think after that, either Eddie Bauer.
That's what I was thinking of Eddie's.
Nah, the Eddie's.
Might
Eddie's.
have been a little bit later.
Yeah, they were a little later. It was something in between Eddie and triple fat goose. Something in between that was hot. Because I think with Eddie Bauer, because the triple fat goose had like a fur on the joint.
Right.
Dang, I don't remember what was in after that. I remember the after that the flight jackets. Remember flight jackets?
I'm not sure. I
They
remember the flight joints.
black and they had the little on the sleeve. They had like a pocket.
The zipper with the zipper pocket, the
The,
gold.
the zipper pocket with the gold. Yeah,
Did
yeah,
they
yeah.
have the orange inner lining? Was that
The
what they
orange
were?
lining. That
Yeah,
was the flight jacket. I
that's
think
what came. That came after the triple fat goose.
that came after the triple fat goose. Yep, the flight jackets.
Did you get the flight joint?
I might have had a flight jacket. I think I got that when I was old enough to buy.
Usually.
You could get them joints from Sonny's. Remember Sonny Surplus?
Yep.
And I mean, I came up with my parents sacrificing to say, you know what, we're not tripping off name brands, we're not tripping off shoes. I got the beginning of the school year, I got a fresh pair of shoes, and it had to last me the whole year.
Yeah. Did you have play shoes? So you got your new shoes? They was like your school shoes. Did you have like your after school shoes? The dog? They probably was the ones from the
Yeah,
year before.
yeah, I did have that. I had to stretch those out that I would go outside because we played outside.
Yeah, we did too.
I
Yeah,
was I was outside. You had to come. They had to. I remember the lights. If the lights came on, you better be coming in the house, bro.
yeah,
Right? You
yeah.
stretch it out a little bit, you gonna catch it.
Right.
But man, you know, that helped me a lot though. You know, it helped me to not care. Like now, I do me comfortably. You know, and that's one of the things I help young people with. It's hard for them to learn how to find them. They like, well, how do I find me? How do I find how to walk? How do I find how I'm supposed to sound when I talk or when I laugh? Or what is that? I feel weird when I'm walking outside and people looking at me. I don't even know if I look right.
Right.
And that's an awkward stage that young people go through. And somebody said, play shoes. You better not wear those shoes to school.
Yeah.
You better not
Oh
wear
man,
them shoes.
you get a whooping. You wear them play shoes. I mean, you wear them school shoes outside to play. You come home, them joints dirty. You be
But
like, oh man, I gotta clean. You try to hit the water hose before you go back in.
no,
Get the
but
mud
listen,
off.
I never wanted to do that because I didn't want to. I needed to keep them joints as fresh as long as I could.
I got to minimize. I got to minimize the Bamarism.
And, oh man, I was a Bama, man. I would never forget that, man. But I loved it because now I just don't care about what other people think, you know. And we have to learn how to get to that place where other people's opinions doesn't matter, and that's what a lot of us now as adults still struggle with. It's like some such and such got this kind of car, or such and such got this kind of house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about none of that.
Right. Who cares?
Who cares? You know what I mean? Because none of it matters. Because if Cello is living in the back of, you know, an alley, I'm coming to pick up Cello and we're gonna go bowling and we're gonna go do what we do. You know what I mean? Like who cares where you live, what you got on, any of that? How do we learn how to see through all of that to each other's heart?
Right.
How do we get
That's definitely powerful because that's the human element to it. It's not what you have, it's who you are and the way in which you like what value do you bring? The size of your house, the niceness of your car
yeah.
doesn't dictate the value that you bring to my life. Like, I couldn't tell you what kind of car Dr. E drives.
Right.
He told me before, but it didn't even he helps me so much there's no relevancy to what car he drives.
Right. Who cares?
Who cares?
It means nothing. It means absolutely nothing.
It's a modern horse.
Right.
That's what it is. And now, I mean, I'd actually rather have a horse, because it'd be cool to have that relationship with a horse. But it's a modern horse. It's an A to B type of thing. And that's not to say you shouldn't get nice things.
Right.
But your identification with those things can be detrimental.
Absolutely.
To your health and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. I think the challenge we have now as adults is, when we have as parents, and not just parents, but influential adults over young people,
mm-hmm.
is helping them to understand that balance, and necessarily, because one of the things that's challenging when it comes to Black people, and I'm just going to say Black people in general, I believe Black people in America who are Native Americans, they grew up in America. They were America, grew up here. They're Americanized Black people.
Right. I just say American.
Black American people have an attachment, and I'm just making a generalized statement because it's not everybody, but in
Right.
general, have an attachment to struggle. It's like the identity of the Black person is attached to struggle. Like anytime I hear unapologetically Black, it kind of it irritates the back of my neck a little bit, because I'm like, what does that mean? Like, and when I ask somebody, well, define what Black is, what they are really saying is, I'm unapologetically ignorant.
Ooh.
I'm unapologetically an asshole, a jerk, someone who doesn't think before he speaks, someone who's attached to ebonics, someone who wants to be loud, someone who wants to be angry, because
Okay.
they don't give me anything positive. Because why? Because otherwise, why do I have to apologize for being great? It's always an apology attached to not being great, right?
Right.
So otherwise, why am I saying I'm unapologetically Black? Black is attached to negativity, and if you're being unapologetic,
Mm-hmm.
I should be able to be Black and not have to worry about an apology. That means there's something negative attached to it.
Right. Right. And that's major.
That's big.
That's major. It's like if you think about a school age child and in a Black school, and they like, you talk white. It's like, okay, what exactly does that mean? Does that mean I use proper English? Does that mean I sound intelligent and articulate? And I think, you know, I think one of the things I've told you is I'm really good at like inverting thought. So I'll have an idea and then I'll play devil's advocate to that idea. And I
Right.
think that's something that we have to be able to begin to do, is look at both sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that you talk or speak white implies that white is good,
Yeah.
right? But that also implies that Black is not good.
Right.
It's like, hold on, like, what are
What?
we doing here?
Right. But if you really think about it that way, it's like that's not good. And that is in
Right.
general how we talk about taking your Black card. What are we taking away?
Well, they took my Black card a long time. They took my Black card. You know, I thought we talked about that. I don't. Matter of fact, quick short story. My wife went and checked the mail the other day. She was like, they try and get you to get a Black card. I was like, oh, I'm about to get the real Black card. I don't need that one no more. They took that joint a couple months ago. So it's all good. Ain't no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Who cares?
Yeah. But man,
Funny.
we got a lot of work to do as Black people to really embrace, because I think it's an effort to embrace Blackness, right? It's an effort to embrace it. But to me, what it really looks like is removing the negative stigma from it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to apologize for being Black, right?
Well, yeah. I agree. I don't apologize for being Black. I think one of the things that's very difficult in Black culture is to be yourself. And if who you are is, or your views and opinions are in opposition to the group, it's easy to get cast out.
Yeah,
So it's almost like if you're not unapologetically Black, you get looked at sideways. Like, no, listen, I'm me, right? I
right,
have a whole different myriad of views and opinions and thoughts, and all of them are attributed to who I am and my experiences.
right, right,
I
right.
got a question. I got a question I definitely wanted to ask you though.
Yeah,
Okay. How do we, especially as men, and you can answer it from a Black man perspective if you want to, but I'm thinking more men in general.
yeah.
How do we break the stigma of being weak for going to therapy?
Mm,
Because I think that's a major impediment to men
mm.
coming to grips with their thoughts and emotions, is not seeking professional help. And you know, so
Mm. I think that's huge. I think it's a big part of my quest to redefine manhood. I talk about it all the time, and I need to push the narrative even more. But it's really about men such as you and myself getting the message out there that being a man does not mean that you don't ask for help.
mm-hmm.
The message that we push, and when I say we, I'm talking about you know Black messaging. But when you to music, when you listen to these moguls who get on, who have platforms, many of them talk about how they've been able to get it out of the mud and do it themselves, but they
Hmm.
don't talk about the help they got. They don't talk about the connections that pulled them along the way, or the assistance that they got, or the people that said, hey, you're not doing it right. The people that checked them, the people that said, the people that mentored them. They don't big up the mentors or the coaches or the people that or that play the role of a therapist for them, or even if they had therapy, they don't highlight that, and I do think that there's been a wave, over the last, I would say, maybe 2 years. I've seen a big push for mental health, especially in the Black community, which I think is really good. But I don't see it directed towards men. It's just kind of generalized. So
Yeah.
you're right. I think what needs to happen more is, as men, we need to speak on, hey, it's okay to ask for help, because that's what's attached to weakness. It's not necessarily therapy. It's, I don't need nobody.
Right.
I don't need no help. If I ask for help, I'm weak. And that's what's weak, is not having the courage to ask for help.
Right.
That's where the weakness lies. When you're saying no, I'm not going to ask for help, you're really saying I don't have the courage to say, hey, I'm falling short.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not maximizing this. Can you help me? And that's where the weakness is.
Mm. That ma- that makes me think about duality, right? How we tend to, like, I look at it like this: when I am in fear of something, whether it's going live with Dr. E or something at my job, fear is an indicator that you have the opportunity to be courageous,
Woo,
right? And I think that we have to understand that courage stands on the shoulders of fear.
woo.
Because if you're not fearful of anything, right? Like, I'm not scared to lay in my bed, right? There's nothing to fear,
Right.
right? But when there's something to fear and you run to it, run to the pain,
Woo,
right? That's when you're courageous. Because
woo,
acting in the face of fear is what's courageous. So I completely and wholeheartedly
woo,
agree with you on that point. And we
woo.
have to be able to understand the interconnectedness of that thing that we dislike and the treasure trove that's on the other side of it.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
Oh man, you just spoke my music, bruh. You already know that. So I'm just going to say, I wholeheartedly 100% agree, and you're absolutely right. And what you're saying is, we need to not just redefine manhood, but redefine courage and understanding of what it means to be courageous. Because people are thinking it's courageous to be out here and not ask for help and not say, "Hey, I need help."
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the courageous thing. The courageous thing is to say, "Hey, y'all. Hey, look, I'm not tall enough to be able to get over this. I need you 7-footer to come over here. Hey, I'm not small enough to fit through this hole, but hey, you 5 foot, I need you to get over here. And we're going to now push this wall and get through the other side of this and do X, Y, and Z."
Mm.
That's the courageous thing, because now I've been able to use all of my resources and maximize what I have in front of me to get accomplished goal. But if I try to do it myself, it's going to take me a whole year to do it. Whereas I just got it done in a couple of hours.
Mm.
So it's like, how do we teach people how to be smart and work smarter and not harder by actually utilizing your resources? We just got to get the messaging out.
Mm. Get the messaging out.
Yeah,
That's true. And you see it in big businesses too. Like,
yeah.
we tend to admire the figureheads of major companies. But
Hmm.
those dudes are smart enough to know to hire people smarter than them, right?
What?
Right? To do the things that they're not good at.
What?
And I think it's cool because, like you said, you can do that in your own life. Like, I experienced that personally in marriage. Like, it's like, you know what? Let me ask my wife. I know everything.
Right,
I know everything, right?
right,
But I really don't. So
right,
let me ask my wife. Well, I text you. Or I text a friend or something. Like you said, I
right,
think it's very important to be able to
right.
tap into those resources.
Yeah.
Um, Another question I had for you. What are some tips that we can use to feel good about ourselves and our lives on a day-to-day basis? What's something maybe simple, basic that we can do on a day-to-day basis?
Okay. Um, Man, a whole bunch of things just popped in my head, right? I'll just go over things that I do. There you go. There you go. The King's Empowerment Deck, affirmations. First thing I have to do, because for me, again, I believe our purpose in life is to maximize us, right, through our gifts and talents. But
Mm-hmm.
the other side of that, or in addition to that, we're supposed to help others. So it's help yourself, then help others. So every day I choose to do that. So for me to feel good about myself, I got to pour into me first. So whatever that means for you, for me, it's getting a good sweat, is practicing deep breathing, because I got to make sure that I can control my emotions throughout the day. I need to be able to remain even keeled throughout the day. I need to be able to have a tunnel vision when it comes to other people who want to infringe upon my energy and my space.
Mm-hmm.
I need to create one of those Wakanda force fields around myself every day, right?
Mm.
Where somebody tries to throw something, I don't even feel it. The joint just blink. Like I was driving with somebody and they honked the horn, and the other person who was driving, like, did they just honk at us? I didn't even. It's like, man, keep going, bro.
I got my force field on.
Force field is like you don't feel none of that. You know
Right.
what I mean? Somebody said, "Get your king, get your king deck." Hey, that's what something that can be done. Get your king in the empowerment deck. But what I was going to say is this: you have to make sure. I would say do an inventory. It may take a little admin work first. Do an inventory of the things that you need to improve on for yourself. If it's managing your emotions, if it's learning how to be task driven and complete tasks without putting things off, whatever your shortcomings are, do a task list, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it has to do with your health, if it has to do with your nutrition, because in order to feel good, you got to feel accomplished. You got to feel like you're getting things done, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you got to first know what it is that you need to get done. So for me, I know certain things that I need to get done every day, and I'm intentional about doing those things every day.
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of people, that feedback I hear is people say, well, I don't have time. People say, well, I don't have time. People say, well, look at all of these other things that I have. One of the other things that people can jump on if you don't have the King's Empowerment deck, which is a deck of affirmation cards, is the intentionality workbook. All these things can be accessed through my website, or through go to Empower All Day and click the link in the bio. But the intentionality workbook, the first thing that you have to do is you have to go through, and it's a workbook. It's actually you're doing work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got to do is list your priorities. When I ask people to list their priorities, oftentimes they put a lot of things that are very important, right? They put work, they put their family, they put their kids, they put, things they're trying to accomplish. And the last thing they put is their health, nutrition, exercise. They put those things last. And I say, well, why you put those things last? Well, I can get to that when I have time for it, but these things are more pressing. And I'm like, oh, we really have to help people to understand how to reprioritize their life, because, I'm working in the field of addictions. I worked in treatment programs, and people would come into programs, 28-day program, and they were itching to get back outside to the community to help their family. And like, man, I'm in here working on my recovery when I should be out there making money for my family. We can't make no money. We can't help our family. We can't do not a blank, 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 blank if we are not here.
Right.
Your first priority is you. Your first priority is your health. If you care about your family, if you care about your children, if you care about your career, be able to do what you got to do for you so that you can do those things for your family and your career.
Right.
People backwards. Make time for you before you prioritize all these other things so that you can do what you got to do for those other people. You
Right.
just you just have to reframe how you're viewing it. So if you got to get up extra early, I'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever time I got to get up to pour into me before I pour into everybody else. And that makes me feel good. Not only that, I would say do a to-do list. Each day, do a list of things that you got to accomplish for the day and check those things off after you accomplish it.
Mm.
Right?
Micro wins.
Yeah. You got it.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Why is Siri jumping in the conversation, Joe? Sorry, I'm having trouble. I didn't need
She want all the information. Siri needs some therapy.
Siri nosyism. but you gotta appreciate the small things. So a lot of times people do not appreciate the small accomplishments, but sometimes because they didn't record it. So if you're not paying attention to the small accomplishments, you won't be able to appreciate them, right?
Right.
There's a lot of things that this year is pretty much over.
Yeah.
A lot of things that have been done this year, and I'm sure a lot of people have a lot to be grateful for. That's the other thing too, practicing gratitude. I put a lot of people on to Clubhouse, and they have affirmations and gratitude group that they do in the morning. If you follow the recession proof group or club on Clubhouse,
Mm-hmm.
they have a really awesome group. And every morning people give gratitude and affirmation. Sometimes I just listen to other people give gratitude. But keeping yourself in a mind frame of gratitude is so important because we have to adjust our lens, right? So your question was, how do we help people to feel good about themselves? Ultimately, you want to adjust your lens because I don't care what situation you're in. I just lost one of my favorite clients. One of my clients, I'm going to his funeral this afternoon.
Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, bro.
He might have been my second client in my private practice, right?
Okay.
This guy, and I'm putting him out because he passed away, so there's no more there's no more confidentiality. But it's Ernest Mccoy. Ernest McCoy is one of my favorite clients. Why? Ernest McCoy he needed 2 knee replacements, but he couldn't have it because his heart could not sustain the surgery.
Okay.
His heart was pumping. They found out when he passed away, it was at like 25%. He had sleep apnea. He needed a machine to sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
He had every week he was going to different doctors to deal with pain. He was in constant pain. He could barely walk, right? When I first met with him, he was so and he was an older guy. He might have been in the mid-60s, right? But he was so, apprehensive about coming to therapy. And it's the first day he sat down, he was like, man, I didn't know it was going to be like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was consistent, right? So with Ernest McCoy, though, I told him, you got to stay positive, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And every time we talk, he said, I'm staying positive. I'm staying positive. He adjusted his lens so that every time the world threw some doo-doo at him, it felt like it was a shower of water. It's like, oh, man. Oh, man, it's raining water out here.
Fertilizer.
Look, for everybody else, though, they'd have been crying.
Right.
But my man stayed positive, man. So he was able to adjust his lens. I don't care what your situation is. You can adjust your lens so that you view your circumstances as positive.
Right.
Some right now are living. It's a guy I passed at the Wawa on 228. He sits in a chair, a lawn chair, on the grass every day, and he just waves at people. You see this guy, he's waving. But meanwhile, you got people that they living in these $500,000 homes. They driving Benzes. They got 6-figure incomes. They got all of these things, but they complaining because they're not adjusting their lens to see all of the great things that they could be grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
So practice gratitude. Practice being in the space of gratitude. For every negative thing that's going on with you, you can counteract it with something positive. I guarantee it.
I wholeheartedly agree. One of the things that I do to practice gratitude is I try to break it down to the most basic level, right? I'll be like, wow, it's really nice to be able to breathe. You know what
What?
I'm saying? Like,
What?
that's cool. You know what I'm saying? It's really nice to sit on the porch for 10 seconds, close my eyes, and be like, I can actually hear birds chirping. There's someone who could come sit on this porch and they would not hear the birds.
Right.
They don't
Right.
know what the sound of a bird is.
Right.
And so I try to break it down to the almost the most basic level of human sensory and go from there. Because once I can do that, it helps me to be more thankful for everything else that comes along and less affected by the negative.
What? You know what I love? Taste. Oh my God. Just to be able
That's
to.
a good one, right?
Oh man, I love taste. I love smell. Every chance you get when you can just smell. My wife just got over COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she knocked it out. She punished, she beat COVID in the face, but she lost her sense of taste. And I got crab legs. I forgot she really couldn't taste like that. So I got some crab legs, man. I've
Mm-hmm.
seasoned them joints up real good. And she could barely taste them, man. I was like, damn, these joints good as a bone.
Now they saying it's people that have gone, that got COVID, early on, they still don't have their taste. So I hope her taste
Yeah.
comes back.
She's feeling like she's getting them back, but that is precious, man. Like we're walking around with things, all of our senses.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, feeling, touching.
Right.
And we walking around like that when you can walk, right?
Walk. Right.
When you
Right.
can walk.
You can
Oh,
walk.
oh
Right.
man.
One of the things that I tell people and that I try to keep in mind myself is we tend to compare up, right? Because as humans, we naturally want to conquer things and conquer problems. So we always want to go up. That's why you see Bill Gates, billionaire, still doing stuff. Like, because what are you doing? Go sit down somewhere,
Right.
right?
Right.
But every once in a while, if you compare down,
Mm.
compare down every, it don't have to be all the time because you don't have to look down on people, but compare it down. Think about someone who doesn't have what you have.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what that'll do is it'll help you understand, like, yo, I'm pretty good here.
I'm doing
I'm doing pretty well.
yeah. In fact, it'll make you want to give. You're like, hold up, man, I'm tripping. I need to give.
Right, right. I'm good. I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'm trying to give some stuff away now.
Right.
So yeah, I think those things, man. One of the things that saved my life was organization. And I'm still not as organized as I would like to be. In some areas of my life, I'm very organized. In other areas, lack because I just don't put the energy into it. But as far as organization, man, when I got a planner and I have several schedules, at one point I tried to keep everything up here. And that's what a lot of people do is they try to keep everything up here.
Mm-hmm.
And man, you will become overwhelmed so quick, especially as adults. We have so many things that we worried about. We worried about our family. We worried about our kids. We worried about our career. We worried about our health. We worried about all these different things. And we have all of these things planned out and we try to keep it up here.
Right.
When I started putting things down on paper, oh man, it was a game changer.
But you know what that is, though? To me, we're all little G's, little gods, little sparkles of the divine.
Mm.
And if you look at what the divine has done, right, it has manifested the whole state of the universe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important, like you said, to bring what's in here into the physical realm.
Mm.
And then you understand that, like, this is what creation is. Like the phones that we're talking on, someone had that phone in their mind. It was not a physical manifested thing at first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then through some process that you or I can't tell you all the little intricate details, it came into being. We can do that with our everyday lives. Like you
Absolutely.
said, by writing it, putting it on paper, bringing it into the physical realm makes it more real as opposed to this thing that's just floating around in our subconscious and conscious mind.
Yeah, no, but you just segued into a great discussion on manifestation and the reality of it and how, when you talk to some people, they're so detached from the different layers of reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
So detached from it, they just kind of go off of what they can touch and see what's tangible, and
Mm-hmm.
that's realize there's so many layers that's in between and around us and above us, right?
Right.
You just spoke to is how we have the power of creation, how we have the power of manifestation, and to bring something into this realm that we didn't have before. And it's about getting it was it up here and
Mm-hmm.
taking it out into existence and putting it down and making it happen, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so many levels to it because it's you know, they talk about the law of attraction. They talk about so many different terminologies for how this happens. But what I do is challenge people. I say, look, you know, if it's something that sounds unbelievable, put it to the test, right? I want you to focus on something and understand what's going to happen as a result of this focus. You're going to trigger a chain reaction. You're going to trigger a chain reaction. It is a universal law.
Right.
You are going to trigger a chain reaction as soon as you say, I'm going to do. I saw somebody up here said they were going to get a planner today.
Right.
Mrs. Stood. She said, I'm getting a planner today. I'm going to take her as an example. I don't know Mrs. Stood. Mrs. Stood says she's going to get a planner today because she wrote that down and she put that out there into the ether. Something's going to try to get in the way to stop her from getting a planner.
Mm.
Something,
Mm.
something is going to try to stop her. Is she still on here?
I don't know. I don't know if I can see who's yeah,
Mrs.
she did.
Stood. Something's going to try to stop you, Mrs. Stood, from getting a planner today. It's a universal law that happens. Whenever you put your mind to something and you say, I'm serious about it, you're going to be tested, right? Understand the test. Understand what's going to happen. But understand the power that you have to cut through all of that and get it done, right? But
Right.
the second that you put your mind to something, it's about, you know what? I can actually make this happen. I remember I got so many stories of reality, but if I want you to test a couple of things, test something that you want in your life, that you want to achieve, that you really want. I want you to think about it. I want you to speak it every day, and I want you to write it down. And it's something that's going to trigger. It's something that's going to trigger in the universe, and it's something that's going to trigger in you, and you're going to start aiming for it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're going to start aiming for it. And then everything that's associated with whatever that is, I want you to start feeding yourself that. So if it's people that you need to learn from, if it's people that have that, I want you to be around them. I want you to connect to those people. Whatever it is that you want, I want you to start fostering an environment that's going to put you in a realm of being close to that thing,
Mm-hmm.
and watch what happens. So, give you an example. For my 40th, I wanted to get a Corvette. I said I was going to get a Corvette when I turned 40. Okay, she said I'm getting it just
She
because
said she's gonna get it.
you're actually
She
going to.
set the she set the alarm on her phone, right?
Hey, Mrs. Stood, guess what? Rashawn, I always talk about the test, and the test is not always a bad thing happening. Usually it's something to perceive as good. Yep. So look, so Mrs. Stood, I want you to aim at it, and I want you to be relentless about it because something's going to happen. Your phone, you set an alarm, your phone not going to go off. Something is going to give you an excuse to not go. I want you to ignore all of the emotions or whatever that comes into place to stop you from getting a planner and go get the planner. And the next thing you're going to have to do is actually use it.
You had to get you a pen
Yeah,
and
you're going to
write
have
it.
to use it. But look, so this is what I did. So when a couple of years ago, I was getting ready to turn 40, I said, I want to get me a Corvette. I need me a convertible. I want me a
Mm-hmm.
convertible, right? I
Right.
didn't want to go do no big party. I didn't want to do none of that. I wanted a convertible. So I started talking about it. I started putting it out there. I started going to check out. And I wasn't even really into Corvettes until I actually sat in one.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, wow, man, these joints. And then my man turned it on and revved it up. Because I was like, because I like the challenges.
Okay.
I like the challenges, man. I like that muscle car, right?
Right.
But I couldn't find a convertible Challenger. You got to go on the West Coast to do some stuff like that.
Okay.
So I said, okay, look, I started falling in love with the Corvette. I started talking about it with my wife. I started putting it out there with her. Wasn't talking about it. I don't talk to a lot of people about what I want to do, but with her, I'm like, yeah, I think for my 40th, I'm gonna go ahead and get a Corvette.
Right.
So started looking them out, checking them out. But there's certain things I wanted, a certain price point, a certain, I wanted a certain look. I wanted a certain year. I wanted certain specifics. So I started researching them. I was looking them up. I started focusing my eye towards what I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what happens is when you do that, you start thinking about it. Not only that, you start seeing them. I started seeing Corvettes everywhere.
That's crazy how that happens, right?
I started seeing them. Why? Because we can get into all types of things that's going on in your brain. There's a system in your brain that's activated whenever it is that you see something that you haven't seen before. It activates, and it's kind of like your brain's honing system where you start to hone in on things and you start to all of a sudden seeing it. Reticular activation system is what it's called. And you start seeing these things over and over again. It's like, damn, I never saw that before, but now I'm seeing it everywhere. It's flying everywhere. I never saw this outfit before, but now that I bought it, everybody else got this outfit, right?
Right.
So I start seeing Corvettes. And long story short, at the time, my wife was driving a Honda Pilot, a Honda Pilot, and the Honda Pilot started having some problems, and I started seeing the problems it was having. And she's still owed on the Pilot. And one thing I don't go for is if I have a car, it can't have issues if I don't own it. I need to own it, and then it had issues, right? But
Right.
if I don't own it and it's got issues, that's a problem for me. So it started issues, and she's still paying a note on it. And so I'm like, man, I can't pull up to the house with a damn Corvette, and the Pilot is acting wrong, right?
Right.
So I'm still in the Corvette mode, still haven't kind of found what I wanted. And then all of a sudden, one day, I'm passing the NVA and I see a Corvette outside of a car shop, and it had a for sale sign on it, right? So I said, let me just go over here and see, this look and see. I go over there. It's a one owner. Asian guy comes out. He brings all of the information for the car. The joint has exactly what it is that I wanted. All of the specs, price point, everything. I was floored. I was like, this is unbelievable.
Right.
Unbelievable. Exactly what I wanted. It scared the hell out of me. I went home. I'm like, I had to pull my wife to the side,
Right.
sit her down like, this thing is real, man. It scared me. I'm sure she remembers it. We was in the little library. I pulled her out. I said, yo, I just manifested a car.
Right. We got to talk about this thing.
We need to have a discussion. I need to tell you what I just did.
Right.
Over a span of a couple of months. I believe I put myself on the same frequency as the car that I wanted.
Right.
And it became available to me.
Right.
And at that point, I had a decision to make. You know, I had a decision of whether I was going to go ahead and get the car or do something different. So I ended up getting a family vehicle, got one of the Tellurides, Kia Telluride.
Yeah.
You know, got that so that she could have something solid to drive, and we have a good family vehicle. And I put off my convertible. So,
but you manifested it though. That's the important part, though, is that you know. Go ahead.
And that's what made me feel like I could do it again. I'm like, I can just manifest it again.
Right. I remember because I remember that's kind of the secret is one of the things that kind of popped me open. And with me, I said I'm gonna just try it with something simple. And I said I'm gonna just think about a peppermint because it's rare you just randomly come across a peppermint, right?
Right.
I was at work, and my boys, they was like, we was out VA, and they were like, yo, let's go to this spot, get something to eat. And I ain't really like the food there. But I've been thinking about this peppermint for like 2 days. Like, I'm gonna give me a peppermint. But it couldn't be, I set like standards, like it couldn't be I went in 7-Eleven. It had to be a random peppermint shows up in my life, right? And we walk into the restaurant, and I stop, and there's a big wooden bucket of the white and green peppermints. And I was like, yo, it's real. The secret is real. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, yo, that's crazy. But I got a short amount of time before this joint cut me off, right?
Yeah.
And there's one question that I like to ask people that you have to answer, right?
Yeah.
Give me 5 people, dead or alive, real people or fictional, that if you could sit down and have a conversation with them, who would those 5 people be?
5 people, dead or alive. Anybody?
It could be anybody. It could be somebody that's fictional, that's a character in a story, but you know, five people,
Wow.
dead or alive,
Wow.
real or not. Just 5 people, 5 characters.
Wow. And I gotta tell you why.
You don't have to tell me why. I mean, let's just go through them because I got about 7, 8 minutes before this joint cut off because that's what
So,
happened
so
last
first
time.
people I thought about was Jesus,
Okay, we got Jesus.
Gandhi,
Got Gandhi. That's a good one. Okay.
um, uh, wow, John Henry Clark.
John Henry Clark.
Yeah, John Henry Clark.
I don't know who that is. I have to look him up.
Man, look him up.
Okay.
I would sit with my man. I don't know why his name just slipped me. He was Farrakhan's right hand man for a while, and then they had a falling out. Damn,
You don't know his name? You can't remember his name?
dude is so powerful.
Let me see if I can look it up right quick while you think about the last one.
Um, my grandfather. My grandfather is passed away when my father was 13. I never met. So I definitely would want to have a conversation with him.
Your grandfather.
Yeah, my grandfather, I never met him. My father had him in his life for 13 years and then he was gone.
What would you ask him? What would you say to him?
Man, at that time, I'm sure it was tough for a black man. And you know, I would just want to know who he is. I would just ask him to tell me about himself.
Mm-hmm.
I know he died of alcoholism, so he was an alcoholic. Khalid Muhammad, that's him. Rasan, no.
Okay, we had Jesus, Gandhi,
Jesus,
Khalid Muhammad.
Gandhi, Jesus, Gandhi, Khalid Muhammad, Muhammad Ali,
You said John Henry Clark.
John Henry Clark, and my grandfather.
Mm.
Yeah, my grandfather. I would ask my grandfather to tell me about himself. He died of alcoholism. I would want to know what it was that he was in pain. He must have been in pain.
Okay.
I would want to know about that.
Jesus, tell me, like, what's the question that you would have for Jesus?
Jesus, to me, whether you believe in him as a son of God or any of that,
Mm-hmm.
he is somebody who is standing the test of time. He's somebody who's a real person who was here, and
Mm-hmm.
he standing the test of time forever. He's in the Bible. He's in the most talked about book ever. So he's somebody who you would want to talk to, and I would be curious to know that if in the Bible, I would want to know what's not talked about. I know that there's some things that were not talked about. I would want to know if you had sex. Did you have sex?
Right.
Right.
Right. What's up with you and Murray?
Yeah, like did you and Mary get down? Like, tell me about it. Like, like what happened? Like, because he died early, 30s, right? 33.
33, yeah.
He was very young.
Right.
And people like him who changed the world and they were not even like they were young. Like I'm like, man, I'm past my mark. Like I ain't changed the world. I'm not that guy.
Nah, hold up, pump the brakes. See, like you changed the world, man. I think you got to realize. I think it's important for all of us to realize that there's like a stream, and we have a very small understanding of the infinite. You know what I'm saying? Because you never know what books you may be written into.
Yeah.
You just don't know.
That's powerful. That's powerful. But yeah, I would want to just sit and talk with him because he out of anybody else that I've ever heard of is probably the most important figure that's ever graced the earth just because of how much he's talked about. Nobody's talked about more than him.
Okay, so I got a couple more minutes, right? Give me someone that you would want to sit down and interview that you don't admire or that you have disdain for.
Oh wow. Another powerful human being is Hitler.
Mm. Full disclosure, he's one of mine too.
Yeah, he's extremely powerful, and Trump reminds me of him just because I believe he studied him because of he understands. People think Trump is stupid. He's not. He's brilliant, and I believe that he was underrated as far as his brain power, as far as he knew how simple-minded people are, and he could do something very simply, and people will run with that. And that's how Hitler was. Hitler understood the power, and he wasn't a big guy. I would be curious to interview Hitler just because of the what he was able to tap into as far as understanding how people work and understanding how he could influence people without even being a violent person, without even being somebody, he could get somebody to drop a dime and kill somebody else like that, and he ain't even had to do much.
Well, my thing, right? I agree. And my thing with Hitler, I look at it like this, right? One person can have a really evil idea, right? How did you convince all of these people to be like, you know what, that is a good idea?
It's a good idea.
Like, you would think that one of his mans, like, if you came to me and was like, you know what we should do? I'd be like, I don't really like them either, but I don't think it's smart for us to go that route.
Yeah, I don't think we should do that.
I don't think we should do that, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's I agree. Hitler. I'm reserving mine for when I'm gonna end up having somebody interview me later on down the line before I give my full 5. But as of right now, Hitler is one of mine.
Yeah, yeah. I would interview him if you said somebody who I don't, because I don't like what he did.
Right.
I don't like that the way he used his power. He could have used his power another way. But here's the thing that's a hard pill for people to swallow. This is a very hard pill for people to swallow. Is there a right and wrong? Right? Is there a right and wrong? Because from my perspective, the way I move is right. What I'm willing to die for is right.
Right.
What I'm willing to stand on is right. From somebody else's perspective, what they're willing to die and stand on is right.
Right.
And whatever lengths they're willing to go is right from their perspective. And who's to say who's wrong? Right?
Right.
Who's right or wrong? Right?
Well,
So
I look at it like every soldier is the good guy in his mind.
Yeah.
There are no bad guys.
He's doing the right.
Bad guys don't exist. Only in the perspective of the other good guy.
Think about it. Like you go back to 9/11, right? Horrific event. I would never forget that day. Those guys did what they had to do to fly those planes and kill those people, and it impacted us forever. If Americans were the ones that were striking and trying to kill a group of other people, we would be celebrating.
Right.
We would have been celebrating at, okay, we won the war. We had to do what we had to do to take people out.
Right.
And we're right. And if you think about most people don't even know what's at the genesis of a war. They don't know what started it. They don't know anything. All they know is this is my side and that's your side, and I feel like I'm right because I'm on this side.
Right.
But what are we fighting for? A cause that shit.
Right.
But we backing it because that's just the colors that we were born into.
It's our team.
It's my team. We back it. But how do we know we right?
We don't.
How do we know? You know what I mean? How do we know they was wrong for doing what they did? How do we know? We know what the impact that it left.
Right.
And that's all that we can really attach to. But that's really, really powerful if you think about it. You know what I mean? Like the concept of fairness. We talked about that before. Like ain't no such thing. Ain't nothing fake. What's fake?
Yo, we gonna get cut off in a minute. You want to keep going or what you want to do?
Well, I mean, I can dang, what time is it? Oh, I got some time. I can start a live. So what does it do? It cuts you.
Yeah, so last night I did it with my sister-in-law, and that joint cut off at an hour. So I wanted to let me wrap it up and then I'll jump on yours.
All right, cool.
So I appreciate you. We're gonna continue the conversation on Dr. E's live. It's Empower all day, right?
Yeah, empower all day.
All right, cool. So y'all, I'm gonna log off here. I'm gonna jump on heads, and we can keep the conversation going for another 15, 20 minutes before I take my daughter to tennis practice.
All right, bet.
All right.